playing in a commoditizing market or a commoditized market presents some challenges. For the longest time, we just, like I said, put out the banner, we make cards, come buy them, and it really worked really well. As the market commoditized, we began to find that we need to be more thoughtful about who we're selling to and why we're selling to who we're selling to, and try to segment our market in the traditional way. You know, in the business to consumer, they're looking at demographics, you know, where you live and how much your income is, and your age and 2.2 kids and all of that stuff. And how do you do that in a business-to-business marketplace? We looked at things like, in our market, we sell cards to airlines. Okay, can we say airlines as one segment? And hotels is another segment. And gift cards for retailers is another segment. And we played around with that for the longest time, and it really got very, very confusing. Until the thought came up of branding. And branding led to, okay, how do we want to look? Because your brand, as I have learned, isn't what you portray. Your brand is how people see you. So how do we want to be seen by these different areas? That led to the thought, okay, who are we successful with right now? And how do we segment our current customer base and say, how do we need to look different to A, B, C, and D? I think, long story short, we sell the same product to A, B, C, or D, exactly the same product, exactly the same thing. Again, a card, 2 1/8 by 3 3/8, and you know, all this fancy decoration on it and all this stuff, but it's always the same. But A and D buy it for very different reasons. The A, maybe the end user. The only reason a card exists in an Office Depot is so that they can identify their consumer. That's the only reason the card exists anyway. But if I'm selling it directly to Office Depot, or if I'm selling it to one of our competitors who is short on capacity that month and needs to have us produce product for them, they're buying it for a very different reason. So we started centering our marketing effort around why it is that our customers buy our product. And we have really landed on 4 different segments. One is that overflow market, those people that send us business because we've still got capacity out there. That's something we don't want to pay a lot of attention to. It just comes. Right? Secondly is the printing market itself. There's an awful lot of printers out there who are calling on customers and selling them print, and we've got cards that can go along with it. They might as well be selling that, because if they're not selling the cards, they may be putting their entire sales at risk. Then there's the marketing companies that provide products to the end users, and then there's the end users, and they all have a different face. They all have different reasons for buying. Once we understood that, once we put that down on paper, we're able to create a path to success with each of those. What do we need to look like? What do they look like? And typically, what does that buyer look like physically? You know, we can now tailor our websites to what those kinds of things that they want to see when they're out there Googling for a supplier. We can tailor our direct mail campaigns if we choose that line of marketing communications. Maybe a direct mail campaign doesn't work in the overflow market, but it really works well in the end user market. So there's a lot comes with that once we've made that decision of how we do that distinction, make those distinctions.
Our company, we kind of have 2 people that buy from us. We have engineers and buyers. So the prototyping side, a lot of engineers, because they have, prototypes are not very expensive, you know, $150,000 for a prototype, so their budgets can have that. But all of a sudden we got into more production, tooling, injection, molding, and now they need a buyer to buy that. They can't necessarily buy it from us with a credit card. And so we had to figure out how to market towards engineers and how to market towards buyers. And engineers, today's engineer is now someone, new graduate out of college, headphones on their computer, don't want to talk to people, they want the information on the internet, drinking the Mountain Dew, and that's why we really focus on our website to put a lot of information on there, whether it be tutorial videos, glossaries, just success stories, kind of show how a project started from the beginning to the end. And that really, they like to get their information that way. And then we have instant quoting online. So once they come to our website, feel comfortable, they can, 3 clicks, they can have a quote on a new project. Buyers are a little tougher, and they want to be able to buy people they can trust and see as an expert, and we kind of chose the education route. We like to educate our customers. Same thing as on our web for engineers. But we have, again, a lot of information on our website for the buyers. We also, a couple years ago, hosted an event called Mini Tech, which was for buyers specifically, and it was on low volume production. So it wasn't just what we did. We had direct digital manufacturing, which is rapid prototyping, but we had a different company come in and talk about that. And then we had a CNC machining company come in and talk about CNC machine parts, and we talked about the tool and injection molding. And each speaker talked about the interchanging between the break-evens, when to go with what technology. So completely not a salesy thing, just trying to inform them, educate them that you don't always have to go to your high-volume production person to get your low-volume needs. And that seemed to help quite a bit. So we're really just trying to give good information and education to our main customers. And also, we, again, started in '96. We're a local company, so we're a pretty good customer base here in Minnesota, but we're also trying to go more national. So we have direct salespeople, but we've also focused a lot more on the web, on pay-per-click, on marketing, email campaigns. We can talk about that a little bit more in detail, but that's also a main focus to get more customers.
Okay, now Tom brought up something about, I thought you didn't believe in segmentation. It sounds really good. Got it thought out pretty well. You know, one of the things in this contract, and I'll stick a little bit with the contract manufacturing, but to me, the segmentation thing is probably the most important thing to start with. I mean, you kind of have to have that determined. And the normal way I think that we tend to segment stuff is by, they don't call them SIC codes anymore. What do they call it? CI or whatever it is. I can't remember what it is. But, you know, we tend to segment by our customers' industry. I mean, we're going after medical, we're going after automotive, we're going after aerospace, or cabinet makers, or that sort of thing. I think you can do an interesting exercise past that, and that is to kind of sit down and say, how else could I possibly segment my markets? And let me give you an example that we just went through recently, and I think it's going to have some real benefits. We have tended to, number one, we segmented and said we're going to go after medical. Number two, we took it to another level and said, just what I showed you up there, we're going after spine, we're going after pacing, we're going after trauma, you know, that kind of thing. That helped us identify customers. They have a little bit different needs. Something has really happened in our marketplace in the past few years. The FDA has really clamped down because of some the food things, some recalls, some other things. And as you read the newspaper all the time, the FDA is going after this company, this company, this company. And what they've done is they're going after the high-profile companies. I mean, it's the Medtronics, the Boston Sci, and by going after, I don't mean this malicious, but that's who they're watching, that's who they're auditing. What we are seeing, and the medical industry has an unusual characteristic to it. The medical device industry has no concept of a quality system. And I say that, and I'll have to explain it a little bit, but because I don't mean to imply that stuff gets not any good. But the medical device industry's quality system was designed around compliance. It's designed around meeting a bunch of vague government standards that can be interpreted a whole bunch of different ways. They absolutely do not understand process control. I mean, those of you that are doing state-of-the-art manufacturing for the auto industry, the electronics industry, medical device industry doesn't have a clue how that works. And it's really funny. They have very, very backward quality systems. And I think, Bruce, you've done some consulting. You know exactly what it's like. But what's happened is that the FDA has taken these big guys, and they're under an incredible microscope, and they've translated this stuff down to the point where when we sell to one of the big guys, the quality paperwork, and I'll call it paperwork, is just unbelievable. I don't think we're getting at the root cause of things. But we have been able to take that and say, this is a segment. I mean, these quality requirements for these customers is a very, very unique segment, and it eliminates about 80% of our competitors because they don't have this overhead, if you will. Whoever said earlier, I don't want a medical company because of the cost, that's it, it's this much. Now, there's two other segments in there. There's kind of the middle ground of customers that cross the pacing, cross the neurostim, cross the orthopedic, that are very quality conscious, do want to, you know, comply with everything, but they're not quite under the microscope. And boy, I tell you, they will tell you they're playing with a different set of rules than the Medtronics are. I mean, they just have to. That's the way it works. Then you got a third segment, and those are the startups, and they don't care about anything. They just want a part out so they can get it in clinicals and get their funding and sell the company. So there's kind of three different segments there, and you really have to approach them totally different. But I bring that up just to say that you can be a lot more creative with segmentation as opposed to just the industry you're selling to. I mean, and segments matter if they're different. If they're all the same and you're not approaching them differently, then you're either doing something wrong or it's one segment.